Welcome back. There's a growing caregiver shortage in Grand Rapids. Now one facility in the city is turning to seniors to help our seniors. Molly Gagan is the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors Lakeshore, and Lori Van Ree is one of their senior caregivers. Thank you both so much for waking up early with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, great to have you all live in studio. And this is really attacking two issues we're facing: keeping seniors in the workforce and allowing our older neighbors to age at home, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We hire wonderful seniors who are retirees, either from the medical or elder care field, or just having cared for their own loved ones. And they love it because it's part-time, flexes into their schedules, they get to give back, and it's a mutual caring.
Yeah,
sure is.
Yeah, absolutely. And really an appropriate time to be talking about this. Next week is National Employ Older Workers Week. Why is it important that we talk about that?
Well, I think there's a huge need out there for it. There's a lot of seniors that, we don't retire as early as we used to way back in the day. So a lot of us seniors, like me, we're not ready to retire. We're still in pretty good shape. And hopefully
Active.
And we have hobbies and we still have things that we like to do.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, I think this was a great point too, that you can maybe relate more to these patients and just be able to get them feeling more comfortable about getting these services, would you say?
For sure.
Yeah.
They just feel a little more, they feel a little closer to us. We kind of grew up in the same age. We have more things in common with each other. So it's the rapport is a lot of times a lot easier.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And trust too. It's really wonderful because for us, we put one caregiver per client. So there is a relationship that builds, not only with the client, but with the client's family and friends.
Right.
And it's something that they look forward to and keeps them going.
It's so important. I mean, when you talk about this type of care, it's personal. It's something that, isn't always necessarily easy for people to seek outside help for. So that trust, those relationships, so important. What are the qualifications of seniors? What is it that you're looking for people who may be watching thinking, hey, that's something that I can get involved with? What are you looking for the
I'm looking for
set?
Lori's. No, I'm kidding. More Lori's.
More Lori's.
Thank you.
No, it's compassion, it's caring, it's taking on that responsibility of one of the most vulnerable, members of our society, and that trust that we're able to build. So I look for trustworthy, caring, responsible, people that really care and want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk about the reaction that you get from some of the people you work with? You mentioned earlier working with someone who just turned 101 years old. I mean, what are their responses to being able to have this help?
Well, I think communication with the family is so important because they can encourage their loved one to have us come into their home. I think I mentioned before to you that seniors, especially seniors, it's scary to have a stranger come into your home, and
you don't know who to trust.
Don't know who to trust. A lot of times they've been on their own. They've been very independent. So that's the ultimate goal, I think, is to help them maintain the independence and, so they can stay in their home as long as they want to, as long as they physically can.
Yeah, that is the goal.
That's the
so
goal.
people who are watching thinking, hey, I've got a parent or I've got a grandparent that can use those services. What are the services that you all offer at Seniors Helping Seniors?
We provide in-home or where you're living. It could be assisted living, it could be independent living, it could be long-term care, could be your own home that you've lived in, for 30 years. We provide in-home companion care. The only thing we do not do is anything medical. We can do medication reminders.
But we do know what to do in an emergency. We are trained for that.
Oh, that's important.
Okay.
Yes.
So
training is important.
Yeah, we receive really comprehensive online training.
Wow.
So before we go into any home, okay? So that's we don't provide medical care, but we know what to do.
But you're prepared, and that's reassuring to the families, I'm sure.
Exactly.
In the dementia knowledge on dementia and how to treat those patients, you know, with dementia, which is quite common out there right now.
Yes.
But yes, and we provide the care, and so that's what we look for. We look for those people that want to learn, want to engage, want to earn a little bit of extra money on a flexible schedule.
Yeah, you talked about that being a reason that this was of interest to you because of the flexibility.
Yeah, I take a day off a week. You know, she knows Monday's my day off. So she generally doesn't bug me, but sometimes she does.
Emergencies, maybe.
Emergencies, yeah. But it is the flexibility. You can work the days you want, the hours. You know, we usually have a 3-hour minimum with a client, so 3 hours a day is nothing. I mean,
not a big ask.
You know, it's not huge. So you're still getting out there. You're still making some, you know, pin money, some pretty good money.
Nice.
And you know, you still have your afternoon or your morning open to do for appointments or you know, whatever you want to do.
Outside
you
of
still
work,
get a
you know,
life.
You're able to see your grandchildren and travel and do those things. We do always have a backup for our caregivers. So you know, if Lori were to go on vacation, I would say, okay, Carol, could you go? We need you to step in.
Yeah.
But again, it wouldn't be a stranger situation. I would have Carol go and shadow Lori with the client so that client is familiar with Lori.
Absolutely.
And the caregiver is familiar with the situation. So it's very nice.
Yeah.
That's another nice thing about us is that we pair up one caregiver with one client on a regular basis.
So they can get used to you showing up.
With seniors especially, consistency is the key.
It's huge.
It really is. So we don't send, I know a number of agencies that will send in different, you know, caregivers every day, or we'll have 1 week and then the next week somebody else goes in. We don't do that. We really try not to do that.
Well, it really does sound like a great service on both ends, providing these employment opportunities for our seniors and also making sure our seniors are taken care of. Appreciate you all being here live with us in studio.
Thank you for having us.
Great to have you. We've got much more coming up next.